All right, everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. Today, I'm talking about a little fishing trip I took out on Lake Erie for smallmouth bass.
This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world.
Hey, I love hunting, I love fishing, and I love America. And with the 4th of July right around the corner, Uncle Louie's Fireworks wants you to celebrate this holiday responsibly. Uncle Louie's Fireworks is one of the only stores in the area that sells subtle fireworks, which emit less noise but still put on a great show, so you can enjoy a fireworks display without alarming wildlife, sensitive pets, and people who are averse to loud noises. They also offer fireworks ignition systems that allow you to set off fireworks with your phone to assure you still have all those very valuable fingers come your favorite hunting and fishing seasons. Uncle Louie's Fireworks, located at 7300 Schnipke Drive, Ottawa Lake, Michigan, just off US 23 Exit 1, wishes you a safe and happy 4th of July. So recently I went out onto the Lake Erie Islands, specifically South Bass Island camping. They have a big event there every year called the South Bass Island Kayak Rendezvous. A bunch of people from all over the place come together, bring their kayaks, kayak around the islands of Lake Erie. And it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of paddling, a lot of drinking beer. Not a bad time in and of itself. And there's an island off of South Bass Island, pretty much straight shot off the campground, about a mile, maybe a little over a mile off the launching spot at the campground at the state park. And I believe it's called Green Island. It's an animal sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary, preserve deal. I don't know the exact phrase of it right now, but whatever, it's not important. So we kayak over there usually on the first day of this kayaking event. Everybody likes to check it out. It's a cool island. It's way offshore. As long as the water's safe, everybody heads over there to do a lap around the island. Supposedly there's some ruins on the island people like to check out. Not really interested in that, to be honest. So I brought a $70 ugly stick combo, the one you probably have right now. It's back behind me somewhere. And I brought a box of crankbaits, deep dive, semi-deep dive, because I've always heard that there's smallmouth out there. I'd never caught one, and I wanted to see if, while everybody's screwing around, if I could reel one in. So I'm out there. Everybody goes, hops off a kayak, and they're doing their thing. There's a bunch of people kayaking around the island, and I go out off the shore of this island, and I'm just whipping crankbaits out there and reeling them in fast, slow, just trying to see what'll bite on what. And I had one that kind of just looked like a natural looking crankbait, and then it had a little orange strip on the bottom to maybe attract some fish. The water clarity's it's not terrible out there that far in Lake Erie. A little cloudy, and didn't have super high hopes, but I was really excited to potentially catch a smallmouth because I've heard they just fight so well. So whip it out, retrieving, casting towards the rocks of the island, and assuming the shore drops off pretty rapidly. I didn't have a fish finder because just in case my kayak flipped, because the waves get pretty big out there in Lake Erie. I would not suggest doing this if you don't have a lot of experience kayaking or going with someone who does. I'm not saying it's unsafe. I'm saying it's unsafe if you're not prepared for those conditions. So anyway, disclaimer out there, casting, reeling in, maybe smacking off the rocks at the bottom a little bit. It was a pretty deep diving crankbait I was started out with. And first couple casts, nothing. Probably about my 10th cast, just hammered a smallmouth, hammered it. I was wearing all long sleeve, hooded shirt, hat, long pants, because I just don't really like wearing sunscreen. I was wearing gloves, so I didn't have to deal with that. And just reeling it in on this cheap rod. What a fight. It was a fairly large smallmouth. I mean, as far as smallmouth go, it was big. And as the story always goes, I get him up to the boat, And I go to lip him. He's hooked on the back treble hook of the crankbait. He shakes his head a little bit when I go to grab his lip to turn away and try and swim away. The front treble hook gets caught in my long sleeve shirt. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and grab the fish. With my other hand, I try to put the rod down, shakes his head again, gets off. And I was heartbroken because he was big. And it doesn't count if you don't get a picture with it, right? And it was it would have been my first smallmouth, so it would have been a personal best regardless, but it would have been a very, very sizable fish. Just seeing half of its body come out of the water, I was shitting bricks essentially. So, he got off. It is what it is. And I'm like, damn it, I gotta bring one in the boat before everybody comes back because they're all assuming I'm not gonna catch anything because that's how people are. So I'm just kayaking like a maniac up and down the edge of this island, just any spot I could see, any sort of island or any sort of peninsula jutting out, any sort of spot that looks like it might go a little deeper. There's a little cove somewhere I'm casting into, just like a maniac trying to see if there's a fish anywhere. Covered like probably 200 yards of water, just circle casting, retrieving quick, trying to get something to bite. And probably about a half hour goes by, don't get another single bite. And I cast in between two rocks where it goes into this little cove. And I cast towards one side where the rock kind of stops before it opens up into this cove. Really get it really close to the rock, start reeling in. And I thought I got stuck on a sunken log or something, or the rocks down there, you can get caught on them. And so I go to reel in to see if I can break it free, and it starts moving away, which is awesome. You always want to have that feeling. Reel it in, reel it in, reel it in. I'm like, I don't care what happens, I'm getting this one in the boat. So I basically horse it out of the water into the boat. Hooks everywhere, sharp hooks. He was on there, caught a smallmouth, and my heart was racing. I was so excited because that was one of my big goals this summer, was to catch a smallmouth. And I did it not expecting to. I expected, probably catch some sheephead or something, or just some bycatch, whatever random stuff out there, maybe even a largemouth. So reeling it, getting in the boat, shaking because I'm so excited. That's how much fun it was to get this fish. And I'm just absolutely having a blast. And then, I get him, I take a look at him. I've never seen a smallmouth out of the water or from somebody else's pictures. They're such beautiful fish. It's so weird seeing the bass without a big mouth. I've only ever caught largemouth, and it's just a wild to see them. Absolutely loved it. It was such a good time. So, I get him unhooked, get another hook in my long sleeve fishing shirt, which, it happens. They're flailing around. You're in this tiny cockpit of a small kayak. There's not much you can do. There's not a lot of space. So get them back out on the water, cast again. And this time I reel in a sheephead, which, would essentially be considered a trash fish out there. And it was big. It was a fun fight. There's nothing wrong with fighting those things. It was a battle. It was probably 2 to 3 times the size of the smallmouth. Just a big fish. And so I get him off the hook, toss him back in the lake. Of course, that's when everybody starts getting up. I'm still freaking out. They come out, did you catch anything? And I'm like, actually, yeah. And it was a pretty good sized smallmouth in my opinion, which is, everybody has their own opinions on these things. So get out, go spend the rest of the day kayaking around. I casted a few more times around a few of the other islands with no luck, but it just goes to show, take a rod with you wherever you're at. You never know what's going to happen. I always have a rod in my car, whether it's a fly rod, traditional spin casting rod, whatever, spinning rod. I just have something in my car and a small tackle box with just a various array of stuff that I could toss on real quick for whatever situation. A crankbait, couple worms, couple hooks, some soft plastic stuff, Ned rig, whatever you want. Just throw it in a box. Always just cool to check out what's in the water. In this case, it worked out really well for me. Been wanting to catch a smallmouth for so long. I'm definitely going to try and target them again. I don't know if I need to necessarily kayak a mile into Lake Erie to do this. I know they're in the Maumee River. I see this guy on Instagram. His Instagram name is Fish Toledo, always catching them. So I know they're in there. just don't have a lot of experience river fishing, which is something I really need to get on. But you can only do so much at once. So taking it slow, figuring it out one thing at a time. But encourage you, take a rod wherever you go. If you can fit one on a kayak, if you can fit one on a boat, you can fit one in your car, keep it with you. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I'll be back very soon with another one. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for listening to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. If you're getting anything out of this, if you're learning something, if it's helped you in any way, go down in the link below and buy me a coffee. Throw me $1, throw me $2. We greatly appreciate it. Just using it to keep this ship afloat. So thank you very much.